Okay, so once you've removed your gauge, you want to flip it over, and you need a tool like this, or you could use a flathead screwdriver, and you just want to pry around the edges because there's a lip here that's bent in. You want to bend that out all the way around, go around about 3 times, and it'll finally be loose enough. And you want to make sure you do this on something soft. I found an old piece of carpet that I use, but you want to keep going around and prying on this edge. Go around in a circle. Do this about 3 or 4 times, or however many times it takes until it loosens up and you can pull this off without damaging the glass. Okay, and once you've finally loosened it up, you'll be able to pop it loose, and you'll see now you have this. And to pull it out, you want to be very careful, because if you damage this or bend this, it's done for. So what I do is I stick a fork on one side, and this here is a tack puller, and apply equal force on both sides, like on this side and on this side, so that way it doesn't bend it, and try to keep it away from the background. Unless you're replacing the background, then it doesn't matter. Once you've got everything lined up, then you apply equal pressure to both ends and do it very slowly. You should hear a series of about 3 pops, popping it out. Once that's removed, you'll need to remove this gauge cover here, and this is it's like a sticker, so it's glued onto the back. You'll have to have something to where you can pry this back without damaging it. Usually I'll use a small screwdriver to where I can get in there and dig it out just a little bit and peel back the edges. Once I peel back the edges, I stick my finger under there and kind of peel it back slowly so I don't damage it. And then there's 2 screws inside of here that you take out, and everything's easily accessible after that. Now that I've removed the dial gauge, here's the 2 screws I was telling you about. It's like a, I believe it's called a hex. I'm not 100% sure. But take these 2 out here, and then it takes this plastic gauge off to where you can take out your LEDs here. Once you've removed the screws, it's pretty clear cut. You just dump it out of there. These pieces come apart here, and set this to the side. Again, make sure you're putting it on something soft so you don't damage your stuff. And then you take a soldering iron and remove each and every single one of these. But if you look very closely, there's a little chip out of each side of these LEDs, which marks the negative and the positive side. When you remove these, make sure you put like a little dot or marker. You like use a marker so you know which side is which when you put it back on, because if you don't, it won't light up. Now to remove the LEDs, you want to use I recommend a 25 watt solder gun, and the part number is PLCC2. I used blue lights with mine. Lighthouse LEDs is the place where I ordered them, and as you can see, they're very small. You have to have a steady hand to do this, but if you have patience, you can do it. It's not very hard. I also recommend having a pair of tweezers handy for when you take these old ones off and to hold the new ones in place. And I'll show you how to remove the old LEDs out and install a new one. Now here's how I remove the LEDs. You push in with one side and kind of flick it up, which will, I don't know if you can see that very well. You can see it flipped it up on the one side, then I go underneath and do the other side. And then you have the removed portion. Now remember to mark each one. There's a little tiny beveled edge on one side. Make sure you go through with a marker, as you can see I did on each and every one, before you remove them. That way you know which side is negative and which side is positive when you replace them with the old or the other LEDs. Now to solder the new one on, what I usually do is press down on it and do one side first, and then and then once it's down, I get a little bit of solder on the tip of the solder gun and place it down, and then do the other side, and that completes the circuit. And then once you're putting it back together, remember this goes in first. Then you put this over top of that, back in, put the screws in. Then you replace the gauge face. Then you put the glass back on. And when you put it on, you're probably going to have to press it down with a little force. And then you just want to bend this edge back alongside here again, so everything's bent in and it doesn't come apart on you while you're driving down the road, because that would suck. And all done. But before I would install any of this stuff, I would definitely check your work, plug it in before you install it, so that way if you missed one or you didn't solder it up good enough, you can go back and repair it before it's already installed, which would suck. And that's all I got.